dependents and contractors living here. You know, we've got two huge bases and a smaller one. You know, if they close, our economy would go through the floor. You know, I'm talking about people working on base, house rentals, companies building new runways. You know, they put millions and millions into the economy. It would just be a waste.
Yeah, well, I hear where you're going with this. Well, that's a great question, but it occurred to me, Frank, that we're economically entangled with those US bases.
Yeah, I mean, Laken Heath is a strategic asset for the United States. It's a forward base in Europe. But it goes much deeper than that. I mean, Britain's entire nuclear deterrent, it's what's called a continuous at-sea deterrent. In other words, the missiles that our Vanguard-class submarines carry deep under the ocean as the final deterrent to Russia or any other adversary. That depends on the US for a lot of things. The warheads, intelligence, and so on. So we are absolutely inextricably entwined with this administration, which is why the government is bending over backwards to say there's no problem here, nothing to see here, the special relationship is intact, you know. And I think it's quite a clever move to invite Donald Trump for a state visit, even though I know there's a huge amount of people who are against it. But in terms of trying to keep him on side, because this is a guy who needs to be flattered, wants to be flattered, wants to be loved, thinks he's doing the right thing. And if you make Britain cannot afford to make an enemy of the leader of America, because the President of the United States has extraordinary powers to just, at the stroke of a pen, change everything in the way that a Prime Minister in the UK doesn't.
So, Claire, are you worried about yourself? Do you have a job that depends on the US base?
I don't, but it's just our economy. Like, probably 80% of our house rentals are let to Americans.
Really?
You know, almost every family here has had family members marry Americans back through the generations. You know, I mean, there must be 20, 30,000 British people working on the three bases.
Wow, thank you. And go on.
Well, just say, I mean, Claire, just to try and reassure you, I haven't heard anything to indicate that they're thinking of closing Laken Heath or any other base.
Okay. But mind you, last night I think he closed what's called NOAA. It's essentially their equivalent of the Met Office. So the weather forecasting seems to be shut down. The thing so he's shutting a lot of stuff. That's all I mean.
And as somebody with a girlfriend in weather, I would definitely have disagreed with that.
Thank you, Claire in Norfolk. Annette is in Lincoln. Hello, Annette.
Good afternoon, Frank. I'll try and get this clear. It's a little bit muddled. We know that Donald wants the peace prize. And obviously he doesn't want to upset Putin, and we don't know exactly, well, somebody might know exactly what he wants to give Putin, what Putin wants. And nobody does anything for nothing. Now, Putin wants something out of this. If it all falls apart and Trump and Putin fall out, where does that leave America, and where does it leave the rest of us?
Great question. I think there are plenty of people on this side of the Atlantic who are rather hoping that that does actually happen, that the scales fall from Donald Trump's eyes and that he does finally understand that the aggressor